The fluorescent lights of the St. Jude's neonatal ward didn't flicker. They were designed for absolute reliability. But for Marcus, a night shift nurse with 15 years of experience, the silence of the 2 a.m. shift felt heavier than usual. The ward was a sanctuary of high-tech incubators and soft rhythmic beeps. However, tonight the smart nurse monitoring system, an advanced AI designed to predict vitals, was acting erratic. On the central hub, the display for Station 4, occupied by a tiny premature infant named Leo, began to distort. The digital heart rate wave didn't just spike, it began to form shapes. Marcus leaned in, squinting. The green line was tracing the silhouette of a hand. Suddenly, the temperature in the ward dropped so sharply that the glass on the incubators fogged. The motion-activated sinks at the back of the room began to turn on and off in a frantic, splashing rhythm. Splash, silence. Splash, silence. It sounded like a code. Marcus hurried to Leo's side. The baby was sleeping, but a shadow was cast over the incubator. Not from any person in the room, but from an invisible source. A dark, elongated figure loomed on the floor, its limbs reaching toward the oxygen sensors. Then the whispers started. They weren't coming from the air, but from the medical intercoms. 1,000 voices overlapping in a raspy, distorted, dry leaf sound. The valve, the secondary valve, looked deeper. Fear gripped Marcus, but his professional instinct held him steady. He checked Leo's monitors. Everything looked perfect. Blood oxygen at 98%, heart rate steady. But the shadow grew taller, its fingers pressing against the plexiglass of the incubator. The smart nurse screen turned blood red and printed a single word over and over: cavity. Marcus grabbed a manual stethoscope. He ignored the digital readouts and the terrifying tall shadow looming over his shoulder. He listened to the mechanical ventilator attached to the wall. There, beneath the rhythmic hiss, was a sound no machine had flagged: a microscopic metallic whistle. A hairline fracture in the secondary oxygen valve, one that would have caused a silent, total pressure failure within minutes, was hidden behind the casing. The shadow's hand pointed directly at the manual shutoff. Marcus didn't hesitate. He switched to the backup tank and called for a maintenance emergency. As soon as the backup oxygen hissed into the line, the room stabilized. The temperature surged back to a comfortable warmth. The sinks stopped splashing. The shadow on the floor didn't vanish instantly. It shrank, softening into a shape that looked less like a monster and more like a weary traveler. It hovered for a second over Leo's incubator, and for a fleeting moment Marcus saw a pair of eyes. Not predatory, but ancient and protective. The entity faded into the light of the morning sun as the shift changed. The maintenance crew later confirmed that the valve would have failed without warning, likely resulting in a tragedy. Marcus was hailed as a hero for his intuitive catch. He never mentioned the shadow or the voices. He simply looked at the ward's empty corners with a new sense of respect, knowing that even in the darkest hours, he wasn't the only one on watch.